Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a reaction video. Yeah, you heard me right. I said I was done with those, I wouldn't do any of them anymore and blah blah blah, but there's like this one idea that I had and I just really need to do it. I found an old YouTube channel I created about 10 years ago filled with tons of private videos of me singing, and it's something. And so what I want to do with you today is react to my old singing from about 10 years ago. So there's one thing I'm not gonna do, and it's sharing the name of this channel because I don't want you guys to find the content that's there. But what I'm telling you is, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and do all the, YouTube things so that I know I should make reactions from other songs that I recorded on this channel. Without further ado. Okay, so commenting on the first verse. Okay, I'll start with the good stuff, alright? It's not that bad. Like, if a student would come to me with this, I would be like, hey, this is good. Like, we can work with this. That's a good start. I mean, I clearly had been doing a little bit of singing before that, and I think at that point in time, as I said, I was studying in college, so I did have a little bit of training, but oh my god, like, what I can tell you is my voice has changed so much, and just in case you haven't seen any of my more recent stuff, I will leave my most recent cover of Sleeping Sun in the cards or whatever. So you can go and listen to compare. At the end of time, losing faith makes a crime. But in this, I have that very strong, operatic sound. But the thing is, I remember the mindset I was in when I was singing this, and when I was at that point in time. And first of all, Tarja was my number one singer. She carved the path for me. And I clearly took a lot of inspiration from her. But the thing that I noticed is it just does not really serve my voice that well, because I kind of I'm trying to sound like someone else. I didn't intentionally want to imitate Tarja, but it's kind of what was happening here. And I didn't really know any other sound that was really appealing to me. So that was a direction I was kind of heading in. And I kind of can notice that over time, I still kept, that a little bit of operatic sound to it, but it's much clearer. In this, I go with that very the sun is sleeping. I have that really round and very unclear, mushy pronunciation. And it's kind of strange because nowadays it's I'm kind of aiming for the opposite. I'm aiming for something that's clear, something that's light, something that's that flows a little bit easier. And I wouldn't say that my tone there was completely off, but I'm definitely like overdoing the like I'm trying to sound like an opera singer. Trying to make my voice that much bigger also made me flat in a couple of spaces. Like it's kind of like hitting that roof because I'm so concerned with like having that big sound that my soft palate is just not really lifting up and leaving space for that clear and nice high sound. And the thing is, I'm not really making that space, and I'm kind of like lowering my tongue a lot, and I'm kind of preventing, I'm not making the right kind of space in my mouth, in other words, to be able to make nice like high sounds, so nice high notes. So they're not even really high, to be honest. Here, that's not high. This is just normal range, and I'm still kind of flat as soon as I'm like hitting that like upper mid range or something. So that makes me a bit curious to what's coming next, because in the chorus it goes a lot higher. So let's see what happens. Okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It doesn't sound terrible, all right? But I do still like, I hear myself and I feel that kind of like discomfort. There's kind of like, I think the tone is, as I said, it's mostly nice, and I surprisingly managed to do the high notes despite the weird mouth shape that I'm having. I don't know how I've been doing that, but sometimes when you're so used to making something quote unquote raw, you kind of like learn to trick it so that you can do the thing. And I think that's kind of what I'm doing here, where like I'm kind of miraculously making it happen, but it's not something that I feel like I would have been able to repeat over and over. And I remember at that time when I recorded this being like, oh my God, like this is so hard. I really have to make this like high note happen, because it's not something that I would hit every single time. Whereas nowadays, like hitting this note is kind of, it's just part of my range. It's easy. It's not a big deal. And even if I managed to make it happen in this version, I clearly remember me thinking like, okay, the high note's coming, the high note's coming, the high note's coming. And now it's just like casual. Like it's not, it's just in my range. To go down with the sun, weeping with you. And I think that like, what's really not helping me here is, first of all, like, again, the diction is so terrible. Oh, how I wish to go down. There's a little bit of that no sound to it that I'm like, wow, okay. I remembered I did that, but like hearing it back is kind of like, but the fact that my larynx is so low, and I think that I'm kind of like lowering it down with my tongue, which makes kind of like that yawning sound. And like, I don't know if I can find the beginning. I wish for this night time to... And then the high note is kind of like a big switch. Instead of like already preparing myself to hit that high note, I'm kind of like in that complete different space. So I'm gonna try to make an example, but no, I can't. It's too late. I can't do an example, but basically, like, I have this really round sound, and then as I go up, I'm sort of really switching. So the high note is there, it's on pitch, but it's kind of like, oh, I got it, and not kind of just part of something that it's not easy. So let's go back to the next part. The Haas was nice. What's that word? I gave it all there. I'm not gonna miss this one. Did you hear that? I'm like pushing it like, I wish. I can't sing now, but I'll play it again. That was better. That one was better. Ooh, that was flat. That was flat too. I didn't do the high note at the end. I played it safe. Alright. Back to the full cam. So, alright. That was really interesting. Another detail that I noticed is really different in my voice from that time versus now is my vibrato has changed a lot. Like a lot. And I think that the vibrato is really not bad, actually, because I feel like recently, maybe in the past couple of years, my vibrato had taken like a little bit of a weird turn or something, and it had become like really large and kind of relatively unstable. And then at some point I started doing a lot more straight sounds because as you could hear from this cover that I've made, like my vibrato was basically like plastered everywhere. Everything I did had vibrato, and it kind of makes sense because I was going for this very like classical aesthetic, and that's also what I was studying, so I was influenced by the music that I was singing at the time. But since I came out of university and didn't have singing lessons for a while, and I have been teaching actually instead, I sort of like took a tangent with my vibrato, I feel, and I've explored with it a lot more, and I think I settled for something that is a little bit like, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. My vibrato used to be very kind of large and everywhere, and now I have a much smaller vibrato and I don't put it everywhere. So I used to go for this very classical aesthetic, which I'm not anymore. I want to keep the like classical vibe, but I also want to have more color in my voice. And I feel like even though this is a very good version, to me this is a very like student version of me. And I can see it by the fact that I can see it in my face, I can hear it in my voice, I can hear it in the fact that I'm not so concerned about how the words are being pronounced, that I was not in a space where I was making art at that point. And what I mean by that is I was not focused on the music and kind of delivering something with the music and expressing something. I was concerned with it sounding good. So like I was like the mental process that I was going that was going on in my mind was, don't miss that note. This note has to sound good. Whereas now when I perform with the harp and I sing, I'm like focused on kind of telling a story and kind of having fun, and it's a lot more playful in terms of approach, and it translates into something that I think is more artistic because I pay attention to the words that I'm saying so that I deliver them in a sort of like the same mentality as an actor would deliver them. And so it's very interesting for me to see that, because the mind space that I was in is, you know, completely different. And it's nice to see that I've grown, and I think if anything that shows that keeping at something for a very long time, in this case, like there's 10 years between Elvann back then and Elvann now, and it's good to see that like spending a lot of time working on your craft actually leads somewhere. When you don't give up on something and you're kind of like your own stubborn, you end up doing something. You like, you don't see the progress on a day-to-day basis, but it's really eye-opening to see something like that. And like, I can't say that this was bad, you know? It's just, it was a place where I was really struggling vocally, actually. And I hope that for anybody who's learning how to sing, and are at the beginning of their journey, which means like have less than 3 years, maybe even 4 years dedicated to singing, like don't give up, because that's the hard part. I went through a very, very hard patch when it comes to singing, and it was like very hard and really challenging and not even really fun, if I'm gonna be honest. For a long period of time, singing just felt like difficult, and kind of technical, and do all of those things. And at some point when I just decided to let go of those things, that's when I really started to get better at it. And to be able to be more playful and more creative and really refine my own aesthetic and not just, you know, borrow from somebody else. And I mean, all of those things are okay. If you're in that place, it's okay. You can be in that place. Don't give up. Keep going, because it pays off in the end. So that's all I have for you today. There was a little bit of rambling. I'm sorry. It's just the way that it's gonna be with me. I'm rambly. But yeah, anyways, if you haven't joined my email list, by the way, I have a free song that I make available for everybody to download. And honestly, the email list is like the best thing in the world for me, because I get to actually talk to you directly and not rely on algorithms, because algorithms, they just stop showing my videos. Especially music videos, they don't perform well on YouTube. So YouTube just doesn't really recommend them at all. And if you'd like to help me out and you're kind of annoyed with YouTube algorithms, you can either like, you know, ring the bell and put all notifications, because otherwise you're just gonna know when I do reaction videos. And or please join my email list at elvann.com/a-free-song. You're gonna get a free song download and like a cool email series that I spent like a week doing, just so that it would be really cool, with no exact purpose. Anyways, we're having fun on that list. You get to see the videos that are music videos, and everybody wins, basically. And the algorithm loses. So that's good for everyone. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I see you with another cover video, I guess.